Is your family ready, just in case? What is your plan B?
Ay, Dios, ¿cómo responder esa pregunta?
Oh God,
Realmente
how
no
do I even
tenemos
answer that
trazado ningún
question?
plan B.
In reality, we don't really have a plan B.
As the Trump administration continues its crackdown on immigration, there is fear and uncertainty in the future for immigrants, even for those who are legally in the United States, like Barbara, an asylum seeker from Cuba. She is afraid of being on camera, but has agreed to share her story via voice interview. Barbara is not her legal name, but a pseudonym to protect her identity.
Todas estas
All of these
órdenes
executive
ejecutivas se
orders
han
that have been
enviado en vigor
signed, in
desde
particular,
que
this new
comenzó esta
administration
actual
has really
administración,
robbed me
a
of my
mí
sleep.
particularmente. Y por supuesto que
And
la
of
ley que
course, the
pretende acabar
specific
con la
executive order
ciudadanía
that
por
tries to
derecho
do
de
away with
nacimiento me
birthright
afecta de manera
citizenship is
profunda.
affecting me profoundly.
Barbara is 5 months pregnant and is extremely worried that her baby due in July will not become a U.S. citizen if the Trump administration succeeds in its efforts to end birthright citizenship. Since Trump's directive, a number of Republicans in Congress and several Republican state attorneys general have supported ending birthright citizenship, voicing concerns that the practice encourages people to come to the U.S. illegally so their children can have citizenship. But many legal scholars on both sides of the political spectrum say ending birthright citizenship would be blatantly unconstitutional. In 1868, after the Civil War, birthright citizenship was explicitly added to the Constitution when the 14th Amendment was adopted. It overturned the Supreme Court's Dred Scott decision that denied African Americans the rights and protections of U.S. citizenship. 30 years later, in 1898, the High Court confirmed in the United States versus Wong Kim Ark case that children born in the U.S. to immigrant parents are citizens. 18 states and multiple organizations have filed suit to put a stop to Trump's executive order. Barbara is represented by one of those organizations, the Asylum Seeker Advocacy Project, or ASAP.
It impacts people who have won asylum, people who have won refugee status, people who have pending applications to get their permanent residency or green card. And so these are, not just individuals who are undocumented or who have been here temporarily, but it's people who have built a life for themselves in the United States.
Conchita Cruz is the co-founder and co-executive director of ASAP. Her organization, along with another advocacy group, CASA, and 5 pregnant mothers, filed a lawsuit in Maryland against President Trump's executive order.
We as an organization have taken a position that this is something that negatively impacts our members and we have to stand up to stop it.
Ya de por sí el embarazo es una etapa muy complicada.
Being
Entonces
pregnant
ahora
is
tengo este
already a
doble
difficult
estrés de que
situation, and now I have this
bebé
double
pueda
stress
nacer
that my baby could
apatriada.
be born stateless.
Barbara and her family left Cuba in 2022, as hundreds were targeted by the Communist Party after a wave of anti-government protest, and as the country fell into deeper economic crisis. According to a Human Rights Watch report, more than 1,400 people were detained, and Cuban courts convicted more than 380 protesters and bystanders, including several children. Barbara and her family feared they would be next, persecuted for their political and religious views. Barbara, her husband, their young daughter, and her elderly parents left their lives behind in Cuba in hopes of a better life in America.
No puedo describir el sentimiento de libertad.
I cannot describe the feeling of freedom once we were here in American soil. After we crossed the border, we applied for asylum immediately.
Barbara arrived in the U.S. 3 years ago, but their asylum application is still pending in immigration court. This can take up to 10 years to process. According to the president's directive to end birthright citizenship, the children of non-citizens are not subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. and therefore not entitled to citizenship. The Trump administration is now asking the Supreme Court to step in after the many legal challenges to Trump's order led to a nationwide injunction. The Department of Justice has filed 3 emergency requests to the U.S. Supreme Court, asking for the birthright citizenship executive order to go into effect until there's a ruling on the merits. In response, the Supreme Court has requested input by April 4 from the states and groups that have challenged the president's order. If the justices side with the Trump administration, the policy could go into effect in the 28 states plus territories that have not challenged the order. For now, it's an anxiety-filled waiting game for pregnant immigrant mothers like Barbara.
Es que me aterra pensar en un plan B.
I'm terrified to even think about Plan B because, like I mentioned, my parents are 73 and 74 right now.
Con una niña y otra bebé en camino.
And with an older daughter and a baby on the way, returning is not an option. That would be a death sentence.
What would be your message to those who don't really understand migrants and their struggles?
Pedirles primeramente que abran su corazón.
Firstly, I would ask them to open their hearts and to support us in our cause.
Somos personas con sueños.
We are people with hopes. We are people with dreams. We are people with desires to contribute to our community and to this country.
Barbara prays for the well-being of her family.
No, creo que todo estaba muy claro.
I hope in the name of God that we will be able to regularize our status, to win our asylum cases, and to live in peace in the United States.
Roselle Reyes, EWTN News in Depth.